Hello and welcome to TV 14 News. I am Marjorie Haynes here with Will York.
And
we will be talking about some of the world's events that shaped 2025.
from the battlefronts in Ukraine to the destruction in Gaza, 2025 was marked by conflict, political upheaval, and extreme weather across the globe. The year saw Trump's meetings on the world stage, the election of Pope Leo the 14th, and widespread unrest from Africa to Asia. Natural disasters left lasting damages. Wildfires, floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes striking communities from Southern California to Europe and the Pacific. There were moments of global attention and human resilience as well, from mass weddings in Gaza to Hajj in Saudi Arabia, and gatherings marking the Dalai Lama's 90th birthday.
In January, the Eaton and the Palisades fires tore through Los Angeles, killing at least 28 people and destroying more than 16,000 structures.
In March, unusually vicious and damaging weather across multiple U.S. states spawned violent tornadoes, blinding dust storms, and fast-moving wildfires, killing at least 39 people.
In May, another 28 people died in Kentucky, Missouri, and Virginia after a mix of dangerous weather conditions across the nation's midsection brought heavy rains, thunderstorms, and tornadoes to the region.
In July, flash floods killed at least 135 people in Texas over the 4th of July weekend, with most deaths along the Guadalupe River in Kerr County, about 60 miles northwest of San Antonio. The destructive, fast-moving waters rose 26 feet on the Guadalupe, washing away homes and vehicles just before daybreak. A girls' summer camp where 27 young campers and counselors died during the flooding plans to reopen one of its camps next summer.
In April, Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria actor Eric Dane publicly announced he was diagnosed with ALS. He has since become an advocate for the disease and has met with policymakers to talk about accelerating ALS research and funding to find a cure. In August, global pop star Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce announced their engagement on Instagram with a series of photos of the proposal in a garden. "Your English teacher and your gym teachers are getting married," Swift captioned the post.
In July, legendary heavy metal singer Ozzy Osbourne died weeks after his farewell show in Birmingham, England. His death certificate listed cardiac arrest and coronary artery disease as the leading cause of death. The document also cited Parkinson's disease with autonomic dysfunction as a contributing condition. In September, 15-year-old Celeste Riva's decomposed remains were discovered in singer D4VD's Tesla. He canceled concerts on his tour after the discovery. Months after she was found, officials are now viewing him as a suspect in the case.
In October, hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison for transporting people across state lines for sexual encounters. Combs was convicted in July of flying his girlfriends and male sex workers around the country to engage in drug-fueled sexual encounters in multiple places over many years. However, he was acquitted of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put him behind bars for life. He is now serving his jail time in New Jersey, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is investigating a new sexual battery allegation against him.
In April, Pope Francis died at the age of 88 after he suffered a cerebral stroke that led to a coma and later heart failure. According to Vatican estimates, some 250,000 people flocked to the funeral mass at the Vatican, and 150,000 more lined the motorcade route through downtown Rome to witness the first funeral procession for a pope in a century. The first American pope, Robert Prevost, a Chicago native and 69-year-old member of the Augustinian religious order, was elected after a 2-day papal conclave. He took the name Leo XIV and appeared on the balcony of St. Peter's Square wearing the traditional red cape of the papacy, a cape that Pope Francis had issued on his election in 2013. He has since demanded firm action on sex abuse, called on no tolerance for abuse of any kind in the Catholic Church, and poked fun at the Chicago Cubs during a Vatican appearance.
In January, Donald Trump's inauguration as 47th President of the United States was held inside the U.S. Capitol Rotunda due to cold weather. Shortly after returning to office, Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. The Associated Press decided not to recognize the change, resulting in reporters and photographers being blocked from attending events in the Oval Office, where Trump frequently addresses journalists, and on Air Force One.
In February, thousands took to the streets to protest the Trump administration's early actions, decrying everything from the president's immigration crackdown to his rollback of transgender rights and proposal to forcibly transfer Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. A few weeks later, No Kings on President's Day by the 5501 movement, participants in dozens of cities protested Trump and billionaire advisor Elon Musk's actions. Another No Kings protest was held in July, bringing out an estimated 4 million to 6 million people to protest nationwide. A third protest was held in October, and organizers estimate 7 million people participated via at least 2,600 rallies across the country. Later that month, Trump and J.D. Vance berated Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky for being disrespectful in an Oval Office meeting. It resulted in an abrupt calling of the signing of a minerals deal that Trump said would have moved Ukraine closer to ending its war with Russia. The deal was signed a few months later, but the war continues.
In March, immigration enforcement agents arrested and detained Mohammed Khaliri, a legal U.S. resident and Palestinian activist who played a prominent part in protests at Columbia in 2024. A few weeks later, they detained Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish doctoral student at Tufts University. Khaliri was released from immigration jail after his first child was born, but still faces deportation. Öztürk's immigration case is still pending. They are among many other ICE has detained and ready for deportation.
In June, Trump and Musk had a public falling out as Trump threatened to cut Musk's government contracts, and Musk claimed that Trump's administration hasn't released all the records related to sex abuser Jeffrey Epstein because Trump is mentioned in them. Musk said he would form a new political party, but it's unclear if that went anywhere. The two have since been seen at events together, including at Charlie Kirk's funeral and the White House dinner with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
A week later, Melissa Hortman, the Democratic former Speaker of the Minnesota House, and her husband Mark were killed in their Brooklyn Park, Minnesota home. State Senator John Hoffman, also a Democrat, and his wife Yvette were injured at their Champlain address about 9 miles away. Authorities identified the suspect as 57-year-old Vance Bolter and arrested him after a 2-day manhunt.
In September, conservative commentator Charlie Kirk, who brought young conservative evangelical Christians into politics, was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University during one of his many campus stops. Authorities arrested 22-year-old suspect Tyler Robinson just over a day after the shooting. From October 1 through November 12th, the federal government was shut down as Democrats tried to get a vote on extending health care subsidies. After the longest shutdown in history, the government reopened. The agreement did not guarantee the health care subsidies would be extended, as Democrats had demanded for almost 6 weeks.
The Justice Department released thousands of files December 19th from its investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, even as it acknowledged that its documents disclosure about the wealthy financier known for his connections to President Donald Trump and other influential people was incomplete.
In January, the NASDAQ and chip company NVIDIA dropped sharply in response to China unveiling their DeepSeek large language model, which was believed to be competition with U.S. giants AI, but potentially a fraction of the cost. The drop resulted in NVIDIA losing $600 billion of its value, making it the biggest drop for a single company in the U.S. stock market history. In that same month, President Trump promised to take on what he called waste, fraud, and abuse in government. He tapped billionaire Musk to lead the effort, and the Department of Government Efficiency, which fired thousands of government employees from various departments, stopped millions of dollars from being sent to the Department of Education, and dismantled USAID, Musk's special government employee contract expired at the end of May, where he left the position. In April, Trump announced his far-reaching new reciprocal tariffs on nearly all U.S. trading partners on what he called Liberation Day. The tariffs have fluctuated by country throughout the year. Trump is now floating the idea of a $2,000 rebate in the form of a dividend check from the trillions of dollars he says is coming into the U.S. from tariffs. But budget experts say the math doesn't quite add up. Throughout the year, Rite Aid and Joann stores closed hundreds of locations amid bankrupt filings. The pharmacy company ended up closing all locations in October, and the fabric store closed their remaining stores in May. Joann materials and branding is now found in store and online from Michael's stores. In October, Amazon's cloud computing service went down, impacting people around the world trying to connect to online services used for work, social media, and video games. The outage lasted roughly 15 hours and impacted various services from flights and McDonald's apps to university services and Fortnite.
In August, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, two NASA astronauts who had been stuck in space for more than 9 months, returned home. They ended up spending 286 days in space, 278 days longer than anticipated when they launched. They circled the Earth 4,576 times and traveled 121 million miles by the time they got back on the planet. Thanks for watching TV14 Global News, and check out our national and international news on our Facebook page, TV14, and our group Newsfax.
We will return in person in the summer of 2026 with some changes and a pleasant surprise.
Bye!
Bye.